That $80,000 2026 thing you just bought? It is not a pickup truck. It is a fragile plastic toy, an absolute insult to American truck history. The second you put it to a real worksite or try to pull a stump, its pathetic computer brain will commit suicide, leaving you a complete fool with a $5,000 repair bill. The automotive industry is laughing at you. We are here to end the deception. In this video, we unleash 10 real mechanical titans forged from pure, unapologetic heavy metal, machines that will out-tow, outlast, and physically humiliate any 2026 toy. You absolutely must see the indestructible weapon waiting at number 1, the machine that defines immortality. Hit that subscribe button, stay until the end, and let us witness the true kings reclaim the throne. Starting off our list at number 10 is a truck that proves you do not have to sacrifice stunning good looks to get a hard-working blue-collar work ethic. The Chevrolet C10, specifically the legendary Action Line generation built from 1967 to 1972. This was the era when General Motors decided that a pickup truck did not just have to be a miserable, bone-shaking farm implement. They gave it a lower, sleeker profile, a beautifully designed cab, and an aggressive stance that still makes modern truck designers extremely jealous today. What made the C10 a true mechanical marvel was its refined trailing arm coil spring rear suspension. While most trucks bounced on stiff leaf springs, the C10 offered a shockingly smooth ride without sacrificing its payload. With a curb weight of around 3,800 pounds, it was light enough to be agile but heavy enough to work hard. Powered by an iconic small-block V8, it easily cruised at highway speeds of 70 miles per hour. Countless C10s have sat in fields for decades, only to be resurrected with a fresh battery. Now let us look at the 2026 equivalent. Modern luxury trucks use hyper-complex computer-controlled air suspension systems. The second an airbag leaks or a height sensor fails, your truck is riding on the bump stops, and you are staring at a $3,000 repair bill at the dealership. The classic Chevy C10's heavy-duty steel coil springs will literally outlast the very earth they drive on. It requires no software updates, no specialized tools, and no expensive dealer visits. Score 1 for the classics. But wait until you see the post-war pioneer rolling in at number 9. At number 9, we step back into the era of true grit with the grandfather of modern working vehicles, the Ford F-Series, specifically the bonus-built first generation produced from 1948 to 1952. This was not just a truck, it was a post-World War II declaration of American industrial might. Returning soldiers needed a vehicle that could rebuild the country, plow the rugged fields, and haul massive loads of lumber without breaking a single sweat. Ford answered the call with a truck stripped of luxuries and engineered purely for daily labor. Under the massive steel hood sat the legendary Ford Flathead V8 engine, heavily cast to handle incredible abuse. The frame of the 48 F-Series was stamped from thick, unyielding steel. Weighing in at roughly 3,200 pounds, this machine was pure muscle. It was not built for speed, topping out around 65 miles per hour, but it was built to pull. You did not drive this truck, you operated it like heavy agricultural machinery. Many original 1948 models are still actively used as farm trucks today, pulling heavy loads. Compare that sheer brute strength to a 2026 Ford. Today's modern F-Series relies heavily on military-grade aluminum bodies to save weight and improve fuel economy. While aluminum will not rust, it certainly will dent, tear, and crumple if you hit it wrong on a harsh job site. Smash the bed of a 2026 truck and you face a catastrophic body shop repair. Dent the thick steel fender of a 48 Ford and you just grab a heavy hammer, pound it back, and keep working. Wait for the heavy-duty muscle at number 8. Rolling into the number 8 spot is the undisputed king of the 1970s job site, the GMC Sierra Grande, reigning supreme during the legendary square-body era from 1973 to 1987. This truck represents the absolute peak of simple, effective, and muscular American truck design. It was completely devoid of aerodynamic curves. It was a heavy brick forged from pure steel, designed to punch a massive hole in the wind and safely haul absolutely whatever heavy cargo you could physically throw into the back of the bed. Beneath the slightly nicer interior of the Grande trim was a powertrain built for the apocalypse. Equipped with the legendary 350 cubic inch V8 engine and weighing roughly 4,500 pounds, it was a heavy-duty powerhouse. It could comfortably hold a highway speed of 85 miles per hour while towing a trailer. Paired with a Rochester 4-barrel carburetor, these engines routinely cross the 300,000-mile mark with nothing more than basic oil changes. You can still find these beasts earning their keep in small towns across America today. Let us do a reality check against a 2026 truck. Try diagnosing a modern twin-turbocharged hybrid-assisted powertrain issue on the side of a dirt road in the pouring rain. You cannot do it without a laptop, proprietary software, and a computer science degree. With the classic GMC Sierra Grande, if it stalls on a dirt road, you pop the heavy steel hood, grab a flathead screwdriver, adjust the carburetor, and you are back on the road in 10 minutes. No computers, just mechanical honesty. But wait until you see the off-road pioneer at number 7. At number 7, we leave the traditional pavement entirely behind and venture deep into the wild with the International Harvester Scout, dominating the muddy trails from 1961 to 1980. Long before the term sport utility vehicle was a trendy marketing buzzword for luxury grocery getters, the Scout was out there forging brutal paths through the wilderness. The most crucial fact about the Scout is that it was not built by a traditional car company. It was manufactured by a company famous for building massive agricultural tractors and heavy commercial equipment. Because it was born from a heavy tractor lineage, the Scout was over-engineered to an absurd degree. Weighing around 3,800 pounds, it featured massive Dana axles and heavy-duty gear-driven transfer cases. Powered by legendary engines like the Comanche V8, it produced massive torque right off idle. It was not extremely fast, maxing out at roughly 70 miles per hour, but it was perfect for crawling over massive boulders or pulling stubborn stumps directly out of the ground. The thick steel body could take brutal hits without shattering. Look at a 2026 off-road SUV today. They come with terrain management systems, dial-a-mode settings, and delicate cameras underneath the chassis. But what happens when you cross a deep, muddy river and the water permanently fries the delicate electronic modules controlling your locking differentials? You are completely stuck. The classic International Harvester Scout relies solely on manual locking hubs, a heavy mechanical lever, and raw physical grip. It does not need a fragile microchip to tell it how to conquer the mud. Our number 6 spot brings military-grade toughness to the list. Marching firmly into the number 6 spot is a truck that sounds just as terrifyingly tough as it looks. The Jeep Gladiator and its later J-Series successors, built on the classic SJ platform from 1963 to 1987. Do not ever confuse this with the modern plastic-clad 2026 Jeep Gladiator currently sitting softly at your local dealership. The original SJ platform was a completely different beast, built during an era when Jeep was focused incredibly heavily on securing lucrative military and heavy-duty utility contracts for combat zones. Underneath that classic aggressive front grille, the Gladiator was armed to the teeth with heavy-duty hardware. Weighing in at over 4,000 pounds, it was a heavy metal brawler. Depending on the year, you could find indestructible AMC V8 engines and massive Dana 44 axles. Cruising easily at 75 miles per hour, it was surprisingly comfortable yet terrifyingly capable. The military even adapted this exact platform to create the M715 tactical vehicle. That intense military DNA was permanently baked into every single civilian Jeep truck sold to the public. Today's 2026 Jeep Gladiator will easily cost you upwards of $60,000. For that insane price, you get a digital dashboard that glitches when it gets too hot, and a stop-start system that constantly strains the starter motor to save one single drop of gas. The classic Gladiator has a solid metal dashboard, manual wind-up windows, and a roaring engine that stays running until you physically turn the heavy metal key off. It was built for combat. Prepare yourself for the ultimate open-air 4x4 experience at number 5. Breaking right into our top 5 is the ultimate weekend warrior, the amazing vehicle that single-handedly made off-roading cool, the Chevrolet K5 Blazer, specifically the legendary square body models built from 1973 to 1991. The K5 Blazer was not just a truck, it was an absolute lifestyle. Chevy took their incredibly tough full-size truck frame, shortened the wheelbase for much better off-road maneuverability, and threw a removable fiberglass roof directly on top. It gave you the cargo capacity of a truck and the total open-air freedom of a convertible. Mechanically, the K5 Blazer was an absolute titan of the trails. Weighing nearly 4,500 pounds, it was planted firmly to the ground. It came standard with bulletproof leaf spring suspension and the legendary gear-driven NP205 transfer case. This massive chunk of cast iron could withstand ridiculous amounts of horsepower from the roaring V8 engine, allowing the truck to hit highway speeds of 80 miles per hour. Whether it was climbing the deep sand dunes of Baja or crawling through southern mud bogs, it was virtually unstoppable. In stark contrast, modern 2026 adventure vehicles are rolling electronic nanny states. They aggressively beep at you if you simply cross a painted lane line, they slam on the brakes if a shadow looks like a pedestrian, and they kill engine power if the computer senses minor wheel slip. The classic K5 Blazer has absolutely zero electronic nannies. It lets you unbolt the heavy roof, shift into 4 low, mash the throttle, and conquer a massive mountain on your own terms. But the blue-collar hero of the heartland is waiting at number 4. Taking the number 4 spot is the relentless mechanical twin to the C10, but built specifically for the deepest mud and the harshest snow, the Chevrolet K10, the four-wheel drive champion of the square body era from 1973 to 1987. If you close your eyes and picture the quintessential hard-working American farm truck, you are undoubtedly picturing a Chevy K10. This truck was the absolute lifeblood of rural America. It did not just politely commute to work, it physically was the workplace for generations of incredibly hard-working families. The pure secret to the K10's legendary status lies in its entirely uncompromising drivetrain. Weighing roughly 4,200 pounds, many of these trucks were heavily equipped with the SM465 4-speed manual transmission. It featured a granny-low first gear so incredibly low that the truck could idle up a steep hill while pulling a massive trailer without stalling. Powered by a cast-iron V8, it could reach speeds of 75 miles per hour on the pavement but was truly designed to be an unstoppable tractor in the dirt. Let us evaluate a 2026 heavy-duty truck. They feature highly complex 10-speed automatic transmissions that constantly hunt for gears, desperately trying to maximize fuel economy. When one of those heavily computerized modern transmissions eventually fails, it is a catastrophic $8,000 dealership replacement. The Chevy K10's 4-speed manual is basically a military-grade tractor transmission bolted directly into a pickup truck. It is a massive chunk of heavy iron that will likely survive a nuclear blast. You could not break it if you tried. Our number 3 truck did not even need a lift kit. Standing incredibly tall at number 3 is a massive truck that literally looked down on absolutely everything else on the road. The Ford F-250, universally known as the Highboy, produced from 1967 to 1977. Long before the extremely expensive aftermarket lift kit industry exploded into popularity, Ford was selling a heavy-duty truck right off the factory showroom floor that was so tall, so aggressive, and so utterly intimidating, it earned legendary status. The secret to its massive stance was a brilliant byproduct of how Ford specifically engineered the driveline. Instead of bolting the transfer case directly to the transmission, the Highboy used a divorce transfer case mounted completely separately, further back on the steel frame. This required the 4,800-pound truck to sit significantly higher just to maintain the proper driveline angles. Powered by Ford's massive FE Series V8 engines, This heavy beast could easily cruise at 70 miles per hour, while factory-clearing massive mud tires without a single aftermarket modification. Riding on heavy-duty Dana axles, the Highboy was a monstrous pre-built off-road machine right out of the box. If you fiercely want a 2026 truck to safely have the huge ground clearance and massive presence of a classic Highboy, you have to spend many thousands of dollars violently cutting the factory suspension, adding expensive aftermarket lift kits, and completely voiding your factory warranty in the process. And even then, your modern suspension components are made of lightweight stamped steel that bends under heavy abuse. The classic Highboy came from the factory with suspension components thick enough to bridge a small river. Prepare for the ultimate street-legal tank at number 2. Securing the highly respected number 2 spot is not just a pickup truck, it is a literal piece of heavy military artillery, the Dodge Power Wagon, specifically the iconic original civilian flat-fender models produced from 1946 to 1968. If you ever want to passionately talk about a true vehicle that single-handedly built major infrastructure, tamed the harsh American wilderness, and proudly served in combat, the Power Wagon is the undisputed grandfather. Dodge literally took their World War II weapon carriers, slapped a civilian cab on them, and aggressively sold them. Everything about the massive Dodge Power Wagon was fiercely focused on absolute brute force. Weighing an astonishing 5,000 pounds of pure heavy metal, it featured a slow-turning, practically immortal flathead inline-six engine. Because it was geared incredibly low for maximum pulling power, its top speed was a screaming 50 miles per hour. But its absolute greatest weapon was the factory-installed mechanical power takeoff winch mounted to the massive front steel bumper. It could effortlessly pull down towering trees or practically pull itself straight up a vertical rock cliff face. Put a shiny 2026 heavy-duty luxury truck in a violently muddy, rocky logging camp, and its delicate plastic front bumper, radar cruise control sensors, and fancy aerodynamic air dams will be instantly ripped off within the very first hour. The classic Dodge Power Wagon will aggressively drag entire redwood trees out of the dense forest all day long, laughingly shrug off giant boulders, and eagerly ask for more. When it comes down to heavy metal versus fragile plastic, the Power Wagon is the executioner, but absolutely nothing beats our immortal number 1. Taking the ultimate crown at number 1 is the undisputed, universally recognized global champion of vehicular immortality, the Toyota Hilux, specifically the legendary generation spanning from 1968 to 1995. If the Dodge Power Wagon is a giant heavy metal tank, the classic Toyota Hilux is an indestructible mechanical cockroach, and I mean that with the absolute utmost respect. While giant American trucks heavily relied on massive size and V8 displacement, Toyota engineered a highly compact truck with such terrifyingly precise tolerances that they accidentally created a completely indestructible machine. The powerful legend of the classic Hilux is anchored heavily by the 22R four-cylinder engine. Weighing a very light 2,800 pounds, it was incredibly nimble and could effortlessly cruise at 85 miles per hour. In the famous British motoring show Top Gear, they subjected a diesel Hilux to the ultimate survival test. They viciously crashed it, completely drowned it in the salty ocean, set it entirely on fire, and finally placed it on top of a massive building that was imploded with explosives. A simple mechanic still got it running. A fragile 2026 pickup truck will immediately throw a glowing check engine light and aggressively put itself into limp mode if the plastic gas cap is slightly loose or if the fuel mixture is off by a tiny fraction. The truly classic Toyota Hilux will reliably keep running with a dangerously cracked engine block, absolutely zero oil pressure, thick muddy water inside the cylinders, and half a steering wheel. It completely transcends being just a normal machine. It perfectly proves that modern computerized technology will never honestly beat perfect, extremely simple engineering. There you have it, 10 extremely legendary classic trucks that definitively prove older is always better. While 2026 trucks are fragile rolling computers that cost as much as a new house, These heavy classics were forged from pure iron, simple mechanics, and an absolutely unbreakable blue-collar spirit. From the gorgeous Chevy C10 to the totally immortal Toyota Hilux, classic heavy iron confidently wins every single time. Which of these legends would you park in your driveway? Drop your choice in the comments, hit like, and please subscribe today.